This production is sponsored by The Good Estate Agent. With an average turnaround time of 3 weeks, if you want your house sold quickly, then contact Stefan today on 01942 356 577. Quote Super League Raw for 33% off. So, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Captain's Run for round number 17 of the Betfred Super League. As you can see, it must be a battle of a borough. We've got Stef with us as always. Good afternoon, Stef.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon, and making his debut on Captain's Run is Wigan Warriors fan Craig Fortham, a proud team talk member.
Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be here.
Indeedy. A couple of announcements, of course, today, boys. First of all, Joel Tompkins stays on at the Catalan Dragons till the end of the year. That's been announced. Toby Sexton's coming in for next year. Steph, do you expect that that's probably Luke Keary on his way at the end of the season?
There's rumours of it, isn't there? I wouldn't be surprised. He doesn't seem to have really settled. I think, the last game he had was probably his best game for Catalan. But yeah, with him coming in, he's a 7, isn't he, Sexton? So you don't really want 2 7s. So I'd imagine that's the Keary out the door.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say that, I'd have to say. And then Craig, your old boss, Mr. Wayne, not only picking a team with big absentees, but by all accounts, Jake Connor wasn't selected for his one bad performance against Saints all season. What did you make of that comment from Sean?
It seemed a bit of an excuse to me, to be honest. I think that Jake Connor's been absolutely brilliant this season. I don't know. One bad game doesn't, plenty of players in that he's picked have had one bad game so far this season. I think he's just looking for an excuse because probably of his past record, with his past history of his misbehaviour and not settling in. So I think he was just looking to try and find just something to say no. But I think it's a bit of a shame.
Well, talking about finding something, Steph, by all accounts, Dean Hadley couldn't hack International Rugby League. I mean, talk about a statement. That was another one that's come out. What did you make of that?
Yeah, a bit of a strange one that was. And I don't think Mr. Peters was too happy about that either. I think he's put the world to right on that one. So, very, very surprising. But, the buck stops with him and we'll see what happens in the Ashes.
Well, that's going to be the proof of the pudding, isn't it? That is going to be the proof of the pudding. Right, okay, let's take a look at the league table. Here it comes. Boom, that's where we left the Super League after 16 rounds. The Robins still 2 wins, 4 points ahead of the Wigan Warriors. Of course, Wigan going up against 4th this weekend. 1st against 3rd. 5th against 6th. It couldn't be better, could it? All of the top 6 will be playing each other in some way, shape or form this weekend. Then, of course, outside the top 6, Trinity, who host the Dragons in 9th. Warrington go to the Red Devils in 12th. And, of course, tonight we have got the one on Sky, which, of course, is the Castleford Tigers taking on Huddersfield Giants, an 8 o'clock kickoff this evening. Long last, gentlemen, Rugby League on a Thursday night. Happy days.
Yeah, can't wait. Missed it last week. But yeah, it's good to have it back on a Thursday and a great way to start the weekend.
Indeed. Also, I did find it quite funny that Luke Robinson in his press conference took a little bit of a swipe in terms of there was no game last Thursday, was there? Which I found quite funny, I have to say. Fair play to him. Good evening to Dawn Kirby, Bazza Kingston. Joel is with us as well. S and J Detailing, of course, one of our proud sponsors here at Super League Raw. Ben Macklin with us. Callum's with us. Hey up, Callum, mate. Hope you're well. That must be Callum Calver. It's been a while since we've had Callum on Final Whistle. Where have you been, lad? Where have you been? Anyway, there you go. Great to see you all getting in nice and early. Let's kick straight off then talking about this one this evening. We had a chat about this in weekly, of course, because we had the squads at that time. Danny Maguire, before we start, actually, obviously the graphics on the screen, before we go into that, Danny Maguire not only having a go at officials last week, but Craig, I don't know who saw his press conference, but was questioning, where's IMG gone? Danny at the moment, without doubt, putting himself out there a little bit for the good of Rugby League.
Yeah, I haven't managed to see his press conference yet, but he's not making many friends with the RFL at the minute, is he? Obviously, he's clearly outspoken. It's I suppose in some ways it's refreshing that he is talking about things like this and getting it all out there. But sometimes you just wonder if he's maybe thinking, well, if I'm going to get investigated for one thing, I may as well throw it all in and have a one go and get it all sorted out in one investigation.
Stef, he has got a point, because all we talked about this time last year was IMG, and we haven't heard an awful lot about that at all. New, of course, a new direction, Rugby Football League with Nigel Wood, etc. Do we expect changes then? Is that why it's quiet, or do you think the IMG scoring system's gonna remain in? We'll go back big for this before we get into the game.
It could do. I think there's just so much up in the air at the moment with obviously there's committees looking at the whole structure of the game, doing a full review of it. Probably is IMG going to be part of it? It's probably one of those things that they are looking at. And I know there's a big meeting at the middle of this month, isn't there? So I think that's why the talk now is going about the 14 teams, etc. It's kind of building up to this big meeting. But we should know more in the middle of this month. And, hopefully, I think most people and most supporters of the game want to see it go to 14 teams. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that that's the way it goes, and we get rid of these dreaded loop fixtures.
Yes, for those, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not really that small. They're on stools, I'm on a chair. That said, Mr. Fourth does completely and utterly outdo me in the height stakes. Right, okay, let's get into today's game. Captain's run, of course, we go through all the stats. If you're new to us, we hope you're going to enjoy the show. 31-28 in history, close, very close between these two. The last four have gone, I'll say the last four out of the last 5 have gone the way of the Huddersfield Giants. The last meeting, of course, in round 9 this year, saw Castleford beat Huddersfield 30 points to 12. The last time Cass won against the Giants at Cass was, actually, no, I picked the wrong one there. Can't remember it, a long time ago. As you can see, the form guide, 2 wins for the Giants, just the 1 for the Castleford Tigers. Points. This is quite interesting when you actually look at the points for and the points against. Quite a difference, really. And again, we've got to be mindful that Huddersfield have been without a lot of players all season, but it's very, very tight, very, very close. Of course, they're next to each other in the league table, gentlemen. Craig, will start with you. Castleford bruised off the back of last week. Do you think they've got the minerals to bounce back against Huddersfield in this one?
I think they have. They've got plenty of talent. Once people said that Tom Moore was ill, I realised, because I thought he just played just like Tom Moore, and he was just absolutely, he was brilliant last week. I think if he's obviously playing, which I'd imagine he will be, they've got a lot in there. Huddersfield really need to pull themselves up from last week. They went to Catalans, probably, I don't know, expecting Catalans to roll over for them. They got embarrassed. It's a both narrow pitch. They both should be used to this. I think it could be definitely a kicking game to win, to tire each other out. But I think Castleford, they should have enough to get over the line with this game. And hope, obviously, it depends how much they lost last week as Huddersfield's morale in the camp.
Yeah, obviously, Texroy's still missing, but Sinny's deputised really, really well. Still no Adam Clune and Hewitt. I mean, obviously, we know that Evels has gone. Liam Sutcliffe, Steph, I mean, what a disappointment for the Huddersfield Giants. Liam Sutcliffe coming back from FC at the start of the season, it's hardly featured, still missing. That's just not gone the right way for Liam, has it, this year, to be fair?
No, he's had a couple of games, hasn't he, mid-season, but then injured again. When you sign players like him, you're looking at him making an impact. Obviously, played a lot of games for FC. So yeah, they'll be disappointed with that. But I mean, the good news for Huddersfield is there's quite a lot of low numbers in that squad now. So there's no real excuses for Robinson. Getting Swift back's massive for them if he features tonight. Ollie Wilson as well, massive. We've already talked about him lots on this show, haven't we? So they should be going in confident tonight and wanting a much better performance, obviously, than they served up at Catalan.
Yeah, absolutely. And of those two, Adam Swift, if he does play, it will be his 200th Super League game. Ollie Wilson, his 100th. So both returnees could be having a milestone at the Jungle this evening. I mean, look, it's really tight. It's really, really tight for me between this, and it should be a great Thursday night game for us all to go and enjoy. But the matchup that I'm really looking forward to, especially off the back of the England 32-man squad is Ollie Wilson if he's back up against Tom Amone. I've put there Ollie to prove a point potentially. There's no better player to go toe-to-toe with perhaps than Tom Amone if he wants to prove to Sean Wayne that he was completely deserving of a call-up. And actually, when you look at these two, I mean, only 5 appearances between them. But again, we're talking about a man that has been revered in his first berth in Super League at the Leigh Leopards, Tom Amone. And when you look at Ollie Wilson, the stats back up what we've been saying all season. You know, this is Tom Amone. You know, and I think everybody's got respect for Tom Amone. And we're not saying that Tom Amone's having a bad season. He's growing all the time. But it does highlight how well Oliver Wilson has played to this point this season. And if he can go out tonight, Stef will come back to you because obviously you know Tom well. If Ollie Wilson tonight can go toe-to-toe with the likes of Tom Amone and come out on top, he can't do any more in terms of maybe giving a bit of humble pie to Mr. Wayne.
Oh, definitely. I think tonight's more of a benchmark than the stats are showing there, because when Tom first came over, I think we'll all agree he wasn't up to speed with where he was compared to his Leigh performances. So this is a great start, and it does show Wilson. I think I'd look at Wilson more than Amone in terms of the stats there. Amone will get better as the season goes on because he's already started to improve, but I'm more focused on how they go toe-to-toe tonight, and really Wilson needs to send a message to Wayne, you know, you shouldn't have left me out tonight for me. So I'll be watching very closely on his performance, and it'd be very interesting to see how Tom Amone deals with him.
Yeah, well, I was the only one that went Huddersfield on weekly. I was the only one. I went Huddersfield 1-8. Everybody else went Castleford, either 1-8 and 9-17. Craig, what prediction are you giving for this one?
I originally went down Castleford 18+. I think the crowd's going to be right on the referee tonight for after what happened last week. I think that could also swing some things maybe in a bit of favour with the fact that the crowd will be up for it and they will be wanting some action. They'll be inspired in a very strong Castleford team that could turn up. And again, it depends on how dented the morale of Huddersfield is. But saying that, Huddersfield, Flanagan's been playing really well. Ollie Wilson's been playing really well. So they have got some quality in their team. So probably revising down, I'd probably still say Castleford, but maybe 9-17 to win it. I think it could be a bit of a tighter game.
Yeah, I think it'd be a fascinating game, a real fascinating game. And like we've already said on weekly, you wouldn't want to be the losing coach after this game. I think that pressure will be ramped up again on whoever that losing coach is. But yeah, it should be a fascinating game. Horn, of course, is going to miss it. You're right, Ben Macklin in the chat. Good to see Callum getting a lot of love as well from the community. It's been a while since we've seen Callum. They are, Callum, you see. Hey, you've been missing for a while and they love having you back, mate. So great to see you back. Hope the fishing is going well, my friend. Hope the fishing is going well. See, there you are. If you're new to Super League Raw, we know our members. We know them intimately well. Right, okie dokie. Let's move on to this one. Warrington Wolves going to the Salford Red Devils on Friday night. History 37-25. To the Warrington Wolves. But look at that there, gents. Just look at that there. You can see it's 3-2. Now, of course, you know, yeah, everybody's going to point to Salford this year, rightly so. But I thought it was worthy of note this because Salford are Warrington's bogey side. We've seen teams play Salford and win handsomely. It will be typical of Warrington to make hard work of this, trust me. I'm not saying Warrington will lose it, I'm just saying make hard work of it. Warrington's last win at Salford was in 2022. He won 32-14. So that's how long ago it was. We don't do well at Warrington at Salford. But of course, everything conceivably statistical wise in 2025 points to a Warrington win. Mark Sneed going back to his old hunting ground. If he gets 10 points, he draws level with Pat Richards in joint 5th place in terms of goal kicking, which is a good effort from his perspective. So that's just 10 points. And if he gets 10 points for the all-time leaders in terms of points scored, 10 goals will put him level with Paul Deakin in 3rd place of the all-time goal-kicking charts as well. Ben Curry expected to make his 100th appearance for the Warrington Wolves. Anything further to add, boys, on this one?
I think it's going to be a pretty interesting game. More so, I think. I mean, that Salford side, when you're looking down there, it's not that bad of a team, is it? There's some really good players in that Salford side. But like you rightly said, you know, the past couple of 22, is it Warrington last win? Did you say? Yeah. So obviously Salford have been, probably overachieving those last 2 seasons, haven't they? And with playoff finishes and whatnot. So I think that's potentially where Warrington have struggled the last few years. But this year is obviously a different kettle of fish. But like I say, it's starting to look like a pretty decent side there for Salford. It's just I just don't understand why they're getting so much put past them at the moment. But want to maybe ask Matty Timms when he comes on final whistle at the end of the week.
Well, I think, Craig, my thoughts on this are there's obviously a lot of morale issues. I mean, on paper, you're right, there's good names there, but this is a side that have been pulled from pillar to post all season, isn't it?
It is. They've got issues, obviously, with getting the payments. They've got the morale's loose. If it's coming and going all the time, they don't know what's going on. And the skill is there in that squad. They've got as you say, we've got a very, very strong squad. They're just lacking that bit of cohesion. They can turn up for 40 minutes and then they just seem to drift off. So I just think there's something that, unfortunately, unless the money comes up, I think that's probably the only way you'll start seeing Salford becoming a lot more competitive now, so they can get that reassurance of when they're going to be so they know they're going to get paid regularly, and I think that might just give them that bit extra confidence in the club, and then they might turn up a bit more. But if Warrington, just want to talk about them briefly, is if they play like they did against Hull and some of the form that the Fields brothers and Dufty and Curry and George Williams found, then Salford could be in for quite a painful night tomorrow night.
Yeah, Toby King expected to come back at centre in this one. That is an expectation. Joe Philbin also expected to return for the Warrington Wolves for this one. A lot of noise around Lewis Dodd, Warrington reference, the Rabbitohs stance on Lewis Dodd. I've not met a single Warrington fan who is excited about that, Stef. However, they might get excited about Jaden Nicarima on Friday night. For me, that would be the perfect foil. When George Williams goes, for me, I would be a lot more excited as a Warrington fan if Jaden Nicarima came into the club, perhaps, than Lewis Dodd.
Yeah, and obviously Sneed has got a bit of a partnership already with him, hasn't he? So I really like Nicarima. I think he's a fantastic player, and in a sorry, Matt, in a good side, I think he'd go really well. So it'll be interesting if Warrington do start to look there, but it could be an ideal replacement for Williams, similar style of player. But if that's potentially on the card, do you think Nicarima would want to have a really good game against Warrington on Friday?
Well, you would. I mean, look, we try. We've not really found anything to talk about referee. And again, sorry, Matt, but we've not done head-to-heads. I'm not doing a head-to-head for this one, but I am going to pay reference to Warrington. I saw Sean Spencer in the WhatsApp group steal my thunder a little bit. I'd already produced the graphic, but this for me is about as interesting as it gets for Warrington on Friday night, and it's the points. When you look at the teams above them and the points that have been scored, now Warrington really need to be posting on a par, if not better, certainly than Leeds have played them twice and averaged a 27-point win. Leigh have played them once, 22-point win. Saints 3 times, average 60, incredible. Once for Hull FC, 32 points, and 62 points by Wakefield Trinity. Warrington need to, for me, a scraping win ain't good enough. Warrington need, if people are going to start to consider them as genuine playoff contenders, the only measuring stick that we can have is the points that Warrington score and the difference on the night. And this, for me, Steph, is as interesting as it gets.
Yeah. So is that per game average?
Per game average, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Saints have put 186 based on the
60 times 3. And
yeah. So yeah, it is interesting, and the points difference could be make or break for Warrington. They could very easily end up on 28 points with another team.
Yeah.
And the points difference that makes the difference who gets in the playoffs. So, yeah, Warrington need to go to Salford with that attitude. Obviously, Salford will want to stop them doing anything like that and want to put a performance in front of their home fans. But, yeah, I think it's key for Warrington that if they can be ruthless, without making too many errors, this is the game to do it in and try and put some points on the board to claw the points back.
Yeah, and Craig, from your perspective, what do you see Warrington achieving in terms of points difference on the night?
I think in points difference, if they can keep the defence up and you got the Thewlis brothers playing like they are, Sneed's kicking as well. You could be looking at about 50, 60 points that Warrington should be able to score against Salford.
I don't think it'll be that much. If it was, I will be very pleasantly surprised. I really will. I think we have to take into account that when Wakey posted theirs, and certainly that first game of Saints, it was a very different Salford, as we've already seen with the squad. Looks a little bit better now. But I would certainly hope that Warrington can post between 20 and 30, possibly the higher end of that is what I'd be looking for as a Warrington fan. Would you agree, Stef?
Yeah, definitely. But like we said, that Salford side, I think there's only accounted 4 players that you'd class as not really established Super League players. So out of a squad of 21, that means they could put out 17 players who've all been playing Super League for quite a while now. So that could be difficult for Warrington. I think, like I say, the key for me for Warrington is to keep the errors low. Don't give Salford the opportunity, and be clinical as you can in your attack. And we'll see what happens. But Salford will want to stop that. They won't want to be embarrassed in front of their home fans. And if nothing else, they've shown effort beyond the means of this year, Salford. So I fully expect them to do that this game as well.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Right. Okay. Now we move to the big one, the Battle of the Borough, the decider, no less. We'll get to the squads in a minute and we'll start there, but I'll just walk us through this graphic to begin with. Of course, Wigan Lions share 14-2 over the course of Super League history. 4-1, of course, in the last 5. That 1-0 win at the start of the season. Both teams come into this game, albeit, yes, Leigh lost the last outing, but both in good form, relatively good form in terms of the recent past. Big disparity in terms of points scored. Defensively as well, advantage Wigan 205, plays 324. But tackle efficiency very close. Wigan the advantage on goal kicking. We spoke about goal kicking and how that hurt. Well, not hurt, but certainly hurt in terms of pressure. I think had Leigh have had a perfect night at Headingley, perhaps the scoreboard could have got a bit closer at times, and maybe that could have changed the outcome of the game. And that's something that Leigh need to really be focusing on. But then when it comes to errors, surprisingly, more errors from Wigan this season, but more penalties conceded by the Leigh Leopards. Right, I'm going to start with you, Steph, as you're the home team. And Adrian Lamini's pre-match press conference pretty much saying David Armstrong isn't playing, albeit he's been listed. Darnell McIntosh is out. Robbie Mulhern is out. Now, that's massive for the Leopards. Over to you, mate. Does that? I mean, I think you back your side on Weekly. The fact that you're missing Armstrong and probably more so Mulhern, is that changing your mind, or are you still thinking your team could do this?
It certainly makes it a lot more jeopardy for me. Whenever you play Wigan, one thing you know is the pack's going to be really good and dominant, and Leigh needed to really go toe-to-toe with them. Mulhern's a massive part of that, obviously just been selected for England. So if you take an England, someone who's in the form to be selected for England out of any team, that's going to have an impact 100%. I would like to think we'd have to have our strongest side out to be confident. And obviously David Armstrong missing. Darnell McIntosh was probably having his best game for us against Leeds. What that does do now, though, is bring Josh Charnley back into the equation. Lamb's already confirmed that he will start on that left wing. So it's going to be very interesting. But then you can flip onto the Wigan and say they're missing Bevan French, which always has a massive impact on the way Wigan play. So.
Let's ask Craig about that. Of course, no Bevan French, that is massive. Sam Walters as well still out. You've been buoyed a little bit in the fact that Abbas Miski returns a little bit early, whether he plays or not's another thing. But yeah, this bit about Bevan French, it's fair to say, Craig, he has been the Achilles heel of Leigh since Leigh returned to Super League. He's always shown up against the Leigh Leopards. So the fact that he's not there, how do you think your team will cope? Obviously, Farriman will be back in, won't he?
Farriman will definitely be back in, and he's got a bit of his own little X factor. And being obviously a Leigh lad, he might want to try and show a bit of a point to Leigh. I don't see Miski playing. I think it's far too early for him to come back. I'd like to see Wade get his opportunity because then that's a bit of an unknown element. So we don't, for what he could bring into the team, and it could maybe disrupt Leigh a little bit more. But whilst we haven't got French, and he has been an absolute talisman, I think. So far this season, Jarfield has been absolutely phenomenal for us. He's been doing so much, and I think he's still probably going to be. If we're going to win this game, it will be because of Jarfield, and if Liam Farrell can pull up like we did against Castleford.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Christian Wade. I mean, what we know about Matt Pete is that, he's very, very loyal to his players. For Christian Wade to play would mean that Zach Eckersley doesn't. And I just cannot see that happening. I mean, if I'm looking here now at the Wigan fixtures, I think if we're going to see Christian Wade, it's going to be potentially on the 11th of July against Huddersfield. And if he doesn't blood him then, I think the only game he's going to get is the one against Castleford at home on the 12th of September. I do not see Christian Wade being birthed in games like this where it's full-blooded opposition, do you?
No, this is going to be, like I say, it would be a big risk, and that's why I'm just wondering if this why he's put Miskey named in the squad. But again, it would be, like I said, being under an entity, he probably would want to maybe risk him against a team that's, no offense to Huddersfield or Castleford, but we're more likely to be more comfortable in winning, despite last week. So you'd like to think he'd like to maybe bring him in then, but at the same time, it's when's a good time, and we have got him for the rest of the season, so it's got to risk him at some point, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I just think it'll probably be one of those two games. Right. It's going to be a fascinating fixture. I think it's, yes, Bevan French is a huge loss, but I think Farriman is a very, very decent replacement. You look at Robbie Mulhern, with the greatest respect to Tabaki, he's no replacement for Robbie Mulhern at all. I think the Armstrong one, based on the form of Hodgson that we've seen this season, he might decide to put O'Brien back there and put McNamara in the halves. Again, I think whilst they're going to miss the lightning speed, if it's Gareth O'Brien, I think if you put Bailey in there, he gives you a little bit in terms of go forward and speed. But again, I think the biggest miss for Leigh clearly is Robbie Mulhern. I've tried to look at where I think this game could be won and lost. And for me, the first thing I would say is this: is John Wells right? Well, we're about to find out. John Wells a couple of weeks ago laid so much praise on Yamala Hanley. It was almost like, what's going on here? I thought he was describing Herbie Farnworth. I mean, it was like ridiculous what John Wells did in that game. And don't get me wrong, I think Yamala's a good player. But by God, did John lay it on thick. He's now going to be directly across from arguably the best centre in Super League in Jake Wardle. So if Yamala wants to prove John Wells right, it's against the Wigan Warriors on Friday. When you actually look at the stats, Yamala actually does pretty well on paper against Jake Wardle. He does really well. There's 3 tries behind him. He's also 3 assists behind him, but he tackle busts more, which is to his credit. That's 48 to 30 there, as you can see. Breaks is pretty even. The defence only a percentage point in it. He carries the ball more times, does Hanley. However, Wardle makes more meters. But it's good. This, for me, Stef, is a really, really good tussle. And like I say, if Hanley wants to prove Mr. Wells right, there's no better way of doing it than against this man.
Yeah, I'm assuming there are Myler's actual figures and you've not apportioned.
No, there is actual figures.
Right. So straight away, what I'd say on that is he's played 3 games less than Wardle. He's got more busts. He's only 3 assists behind him. Yeah. We're talking about, he's only less than 200 meters behind him as well. We're talking about who's meant to be the best Super League centre. For me, Jake Wardle this year, this is going to come right back and bite me on my backside. He'll score 3 against us now tomorrow. But he's been really disappointing for me this season. By his standards of what he's set, he has been disappointing. He's nowhere near the best centre in Super League this year. Nowhere near it.
Shots fired, Mr. Sales. Shots fired. Right to reply, Mr. Forth.
I'll be honest. I think there's been a few Wigan players from last season that were like Liam Marshall trying scoring for fun and Jake Wardle setting up and everything. But yeah, I think Steph has got a point. This season we've not been as prolific as we have been in previous years. Whether that was something what Bazza said on Final Whistle that teams know how to wear, because now we know what we're going to do, so they're going to target Wardle and Marshall a bit more. But then you look at when we played Catalans and then what Wardle did there, and I think he was phenomenal in that game when he just danced around about 8 Catalans players to offload for a try. So if he can do that again, I'll be quite happy.
Well, Adam Reeves, fresh from the quiz night last night, he's not having any of it, Steph. He's quite offended.
What we'll do for Adam then, Dave, on weekly, we'll pull up Wardle's stats from this season compared to last season. Let's see who's right. What I'm saying, I'm not saying he's a bad player and he's had a bad season. I said by his standards, he's been not good.
You did. Jill is saying that she thinks he might be carrying a knock. Who knows? Is what I would say. But here's one, Mike, just to crystallise a little bit, and actually why I think this Hanley Wardle battle is so important. We know that one, Wigan do like to go right to left to Marshall's wing. We know that. If we look at what's happened on the left-hand side defensively for the Wigan Warriors, they're going to be bringing Charlie back. Next to him is going to be Tessie New. And we know that Frankie Alton's over there as well, who's one of the best defensive second rowers in the league. So for me, the left-hand side of the defence for Leigh looks pretty damn good, if I'm being honest, going into this game. You switch across to the right, it's more likely going to be Keenan Brand, who's been fantastic, but let's remember he's still cutting his teeth. You've got next to him Hanley, and of course possibly O'Neill in there as well. O'Neill, we know's steady away, but he's going to have to really put a shift in with two younger lads to his right hand side, and that's why I think the way Hanley stands up to Wardle potentially is the game buster in this game, because I think Wigan will go to their preferred side, the left. I think they'll chance their arm down that side, and Hanley's performance, Steph, against Wardle in particular, before the ball goes to Marshall. There's two things here. One, Hanley's got to hold his line and do very well against Wardle, and Brand has got to put trust and not come in, because you can see that happening. You know, for me, that side for Leigh, you could see almost people trying to do it themselves or what have you. They've got to trust each other. They've got to stay rigid, because if they don't, any space for Marshall is going to exploit it, Steph.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is Jake Wardle's opportunity. This is why I was saying it with caution, going, he will probably score an hat-trick against Leigh. Because if you look at Amaya Hanley's performance at Wakefield, Pratt had him in his back pocket because he kept coming on his inside and on Amaya Hanley's left shoulder. And he just went straight through him like a turnstile. So Amaya really needs to be better in his tackling, especially against someone as capable as Wardle. So it'd be interesting. But I think Ethan O'Neill will have to put a really good shift in on that right side to stop that left edge of Wigan.
All that being said, Craig, there's no doubt about it, and this is no disrespect to Castleford, to Huddersfield, to Wakefield. Yeah, Leigh should be a tougher opposition than those three teams. They should be. On paper as well, they look stronger. Based on your side's performances in the last three, certainly snatching two and losing one. Wigan need a big performance here. Are you concerned as a Wigan fan, seeing what you're seeing on the field at the moment, going to this decide? I mean, you imagine the bragging rights at that bus stop on Saturday morning.
Yeah, honestly, looking at our last few games with Huddersfield and with Castleford, we have not been as strong in defence, and Leigh are a much, again, no offence to them, as you said, they are a much stronger opposition. And with it being a battle of the borough, they will be up for this game. In every which way, they will want it. There's more bragging rights. There's much more than just 2 points in this game. This game's becoming, dare I say, nearly as big as Wigan and Saints. He's becoming that big, and it's that important. The teams will be up for it. So I'm hoping that'll G Wigan up a little bit to come for the bragging rights as well. But I just think that, especially at the LSV, Leigh are going to be so fired up for this game that if Wigan have their lapses in defence like they've been having, we are going to get absolutely punished in this game. So we need to be really up for it. So I am generally worried in some respects for this game, because I think we have weaknesses that are getting exploited at the minute, and Leigh will find a way to do that.
It's not the game of the week. It's very, very close. Could actually turn out to be the game of the week. It's got the potential. Of course, the game of the week on paper comes a little bit later down the line. But I've got some great news, an exclusive for our Wigan Warriors fans. They have a secret weapon, by all accounts, for this game. Before Matt Peat selects his final 17 from the Great British Break-Off, Paul Hollywood will be testing for soggy bottoms of the pies before the selection is made. So you can be guaranteed that they are going to be rigid, well-formed and fully filled. So don't you worry about that. Mr. Hollywood has been drafted in from Mr. Pete to make sure it all goes well for the pies. Outstanding. Right, let's just remind ourselves where we were on weekly. I've already said that Stef went away with Leigh. I think Joel went away with Leigh as well. He went 1-8 Leigh. I think everybody else went the Wigan Warriors. Yes, they did. What say you, Craig? You've got to be back in your own team, surely.
Yeah, I'm backing my boys, but I think it's going to be a tight game for us. If we do win this, it's going to be 1-8.
bottom to 8. Marvellous. We take that quite nicely, and what a fitting way to bring to a close the Battle of the Borough. Of course, it's not beyond the realms that there could be a 4th instalment at the back end of the season, and we can't do ifs and buts. It really is. Bragging rights is pretty much on this one. It's going to be a fantastic party at the bus stop Saturday if they win. Make sure you get to that bus stop. It's going to be like a maypole in July. It'll be
sold out.
Sold out. Yeah. They haven't got ribbons long enough. It's going to be that deep. Unbelievable. Anyway, there you go. Well done. Outstanding stuff. Right, let's go to another great game, or it would appear to be a great game. Hull FC taking on Saints. It's fair to say that Saints, actually, tell you what I've not done. Let me just bring you up to speed. Let's just quickly go back before we do that. Let's just bring off that. I'll do that in a bit. I always forget. I get that giddy. I forget. Wigan won the last 4 times, of course, when they went to the Sports Village. We know that. Josh Charlie's back. He gets a try. He moves 1 ahead of Alan Smith and level with Brian Nogden, 27th place in the all-time British game. He needs 1 try to reach 250 for Super League. Harry Smith will make his 150th appearance, and Liam Marshall needs 2 tries for 150 in Super League. So again, we like to keep an eye on milestones. They're the milestones for this game. My apologies. Remind me if I forget for this one. Right, okay. Hull FC taking on the Saints. Like I was saying, Saints have had a pretty easy run of late. The fair play to them. Nobody expected them to beat Leeds, but they did. History is all in Saints' favour. We can see that on the screen. Points, of course, heavily weighted because of the Salford games. You take the score, the Salford games out of both of these two teams' stats in the for and against. It's very close in terms of that. So, like I say, don't let the Saints one fool you. It's probably a bit tighter than you think. The Salford factor has to be brought into account here. Tackle-wise, pretty close. Neither have set the world on fire with kicking. I always say, really, you're looking at 75 plus. I mean, some kickers can get over the 80 mark. So I think both sides this year. Percival, of course, has been out for St Helens, and Caesar's not. Like I say, he's been kicking most of the games, and he's not really doing for me what you'd want your first choice kicker to do. Very close in terms of errors, but the penalties, again, more conceded by Hull FC. And like we said on the quiz night last night, Hull FC have the worst disciplinary record in Super League this season, 2 reds and 7 yellows, Craig. It's fair to say that they can't afford to lose a player off the field for this game, if that's the case. But your thoughts on this one? There's the squads. I'll quickly walk you through who's missing. No Will Price, no Jordan Lane, Asiata and Watts for FC. For Saints, it's a pretty decent injury list, to be fair. Wellesby, obviously, Hull fit but not playing. He's out. He'll be out on loan before he plays again. Mark Percival, Joe Batchelor, James Bell and Lewis Murphy. So, both have got, dare I say it, starting 17 players missing, Craig. But this, for me, again, where Wellens is concerned, if they was to come away from the MKM Stadium with a loss, all of this hullabaloo, we've been watching our friends on Red V, etc. All of a sudden, the bubble will burst and it'll be a disaster once more, won't it?
Oh, 100% it will be. Obviously, I think for St Helens fans, they need to maybe calm down and realise that Hull, whilst they haven't won at home in a year, which any KR fan will gladly tell you, they've, when they played Leigh, they put up a competition that can really fight for it. And Hull were a team that will not go away. They will play and they will put the effort in. They will want to get that little doll, the horse off the back. So what St Helens will do, I mean, the St Helens have got a very strong team and they will play. And as the saying goes, never write off the Saints. But if they take this game for granted, thinking, we're going to go to the MKM and win because Hull can't win there, they will get shocked. And I think the St Helens fans need to maybe appreciate that this isn't going to be a walkover. This isn't going to be a points fest. And I think that I can see that if Hull turn up with their defence, then St Helens are going to have to work for this one. But Hull's problem is, you said that it's the discipline. They really need to sort their discipline out. And there's only Hull that can do that. There's only Cartwright that can tell his players to calm down and not to be giving away silly penalties in this one. But it's like I say, I think this could be an absolute cracker if Hull turn up.
Yeah, absolutely. Bazza, don't go there, mate. We've got kids watching. Come on, behave. Right. No one you are scratching your head, Steph. Normally it's monkeys on your back, but Craig's got horses. Yeah. That's a new one on me. But anyway, we'll move on. Cartwright back, Steph. Now, here's an interesting one. If you've watched Cartwright's pre-match press conference, he pretty much says Jed's back and one of Briscoe or Littner out. Without saying it, that's what he says. Because he's not dropping Hardaker or Chamberlain, never in a million years. I think they've been playing too well, deputising in second row. So could Hull FC do what I suggested, which is rather than take a bit of heat off Rapana, put Rapana back into the centres, put Hardaker at full back, and bring Cartwright in at the second row? Is that what you'd do?
It's probably the right time for them to try something like that, given the performance against Warrington, which was probably a bit disappointing for them. I know Cartwright was definitely not happy with it, so it probably is a good time to do that. And they kind of they've got nothing to lose. Obviously, Saints are playing really well at the moment, and they'll be very confident with their recent performances. So it's going to be a really tough game at the MKM, and this could be an absolute cracker. To be fair, if both teams turn up. Yes, there is a big monkey on the back with Hull FC's.
Not a horse, no. Not a horse.
No. Well, I think, to be fair, I said one swallow doesn't make a spring when it should have been a summer day. So I'm not going to go there, Craig. You say what you want, pal. Just make it up. That's what I do.
I think it's gone beyond a monkey now. I think he's got that much.
It's
fine. Just come up with your own. Man was better anyway, I think. But no, it's going to be. I'm really looking forward to watching this one. I think it's going to be a good benchmark for both sides about their playoff credentials. I think that's what we're going to learn this weekend. Obviously, still some big players missing for FC, but likewise, there's some big players missing for Saints, particularly Percival, who's been great for them and solid defensively as well. So yeah, really interesting.
But going.
Oh, we've lost him, Craig. He'll come back.
There he goes. If Saints go again, if Saints come away from the MKM Stadium, lads, with a win, that will put them on 22 points, which is 5 points ahead of FC. Trinity could win it the weekend, or should win a game. We'll get to that game in a minute. That'll put them in. They'll be 4 points clear. Worst case scenario, 4 points clear of Trinity. It'd be a massive win for Saints in terms of cementing themselves. And of course, if Leigh were to lose the battle above, they'd actually go above Leigh.
Well, they could end up third. If Leeds lose to KR and Leigh lose to Wigan, Saints would go third.
That's true, yeah. And again, all the pelters that Wellens has had all season, they are Saints fans. All the pelters you're giving Mr. Wellens, if he wins, you could be third. That's an interesting concept, isn't it? But yeah, I think it's a huge one for Saints. But I think for me, for the competition, if FC were to win, it's just making it, it's tightening it up for 5th, 6th, 7th. Well, you could almost argue if Leigh was to lose this weekend and the results went that way, they're still comfortably in the 6th, but all of a sudden they're being dragged in as well. From a latter end of the season perspective, a Hull FC win really does make it very interesting, doesn't it, the further we go down the line?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And I think this is probably more a must-win for Hull than it is for St Helens. Definitely with the league table and with Trinity's all right on the tails. Absolutely.
Right. Here we go. Do you know what? We like to be different on Super League Raw. It'd be very, very easy to, be talking about Tristan Saylor again, Caesar against Lomax, the front unit, Walmsley against SASA, etc. Let's give some praise to some kids, shall we? This is a fascinating little contest. Harvey Barron up against Owen Dagnall. This is a really interesting one. Two young, firing wingers in Super League. And when you look at their stats side by side, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Two young lads playing the trade. Harvey Barron definitely has arrived in 2025 on people's radar. And as far as Owen's concerned, you've got to give him credit. He's come into that squad and he's really packing a punch. Got to give him his due. This, for me, on that edge, is a fascinating contest, Steph. It really, really is.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed with Barron all season, but more so when I saw him in the flesh at Warrington the other week. Played really well in that FC side that weren't really at the races for big parts of that game. So yeah, really impressed with Barron. Right, reminds me of an NRL style winger, but also been massively impressed with Dagnall. I think he's come in, he's done exactly what's been asked for him. He's made very few errors. And scored some really nice tries as well. He's got that what's always a necessity with a Super League winger, finishing in the corner very athletically. And if they can get the ball to him and expose is he left side into he plays that right side defensive FC, then we could see some more spectacular tries from Owen as well this weekend, which will be great for these young lads. But I do expect Barron to get on the score sheet again this week.
Yeah, I mean, Craig, we've got Jake in the chat talking about Martin as well. For different reasons, that's a fascinating concept because coming up against a stalwart in Kyle Felt. So, in the same token that when Jake Fewlis played against Ryan Hall earlier in the season, it was a big test for the young man. And to be fair to Jake, he stood up to it well. Lewis Martin's got a big test against Kyle Felt on that side. So that is going to be very interesting as well. But the reason I picked this one is because it really is two up-and-coming wingers going toe-to-toe. And I think they'll both fancy it. They'll both want to get over the other. They'll want to make a point, and they really will. So I just think Craig did. I think both wings are fascinating for different reasons, but I just like the idea of these two young bucks going toe-to-toe.
I think it is, and it's great for the future of England to have these two young players that are able to score and to really try. And like I say, you're right, these two playing against each other. You don't know what this benchmark could set for the future of the game for these two young players. And we need to be getting more young players like these in. And say, I don't know how many games Dagnall's played off the top of my head. But like I say, he's breaking lines, got a good tackle efficiency. And 4 tries and 35 carries ain't bad.
No, it's not. Dagnall's played 5, which is really impressive because Barron's played 12. So Barron's played 12, Dagnall 5. And when you look at it that way, Dagnall's really punching. Arsenal fans, hello to you too. That's a new one. Arsenal fans are joining us. This is great to see Arsenal fans tuning into a proper sport that is rugby league. Absolutely outstanding. Well done to Arsenal fans. It's great to have you here. But yeah, I think when you factor that in, that Dagnall's only played 5, it's a great effort. I mean, again, benefited in terms of who Saints have played some of those games against, but he's a young kid. Let's not hold that against him. But this, for me, he's coming up against a good side in FC. It's a 50-50 call for me on the day. And this is a 50-50 call as well. It's going to be fascinating to see these two go toe-to-toe. Right, let's consider where we were on weekly very quickly. So Stef went Saints 9-17, as did Joel, as did the members. Non-members won 1-8 to Saints. Greg went 1-8 to Saints. I went 9-17 the Saints. Craig, what do you think?
I think I went Saints 9-17 to pull this one out. I think it was Saints to win this one.
Dawn Kirkby agreeing. Rapana back into the centres. Hardacre at fullback. Jed Cartwright, we know definitely he's going to be starting in the second row. Right. I mean, form would tell you. League position would tell you. What your eyes have seen all season would tell you. Wakefield Trinity win this game. Before we go there, you didn't remind me, boys. You didn't remind me. Then again, I didn't really give you a chance. Right, okay. Let's just get into a couple of little... Zach Hardacre needs 5 points to reach 1,000 in Super League. That is a great accolade for Zach Hardacre this weekend, if you can get there. Tom Briscoe needs to try to move one ahead of Leon Price in 9th place of the all-time leading try scorers. And he also needs 1 try to reach his 100th for FC. How gutted would he be if he was the make weight for Jed Cartwright's return with those two? Something tells me it'll be Davy Litton. I don't know why, but I think experience. I think he'll trust Briscoe more in a game of this magnitude. And I think, unfortunately for Davey, it could be him that misses out. But we'll have to wait and see. Right, Wakefield, Trinity, Catalan. Like I was saying, your eyes would tell you that Wakey should win this. But Catalans have won. Take a deep breath here, boys. The last 14 meetings against Wakefield Trinity. The last 14. So they've got an absolute recent hoodoo over Wakefield Trinity. Unbelievable. Trinity's last win against the Dragons was at home, 22-12, and that was all the way back in February 2019. Wow. So this will be a massive win for Wakefield. Massive win. It would certainly turn that history book around a little bit for them. Form-wise, Wakey, well, they're better in the league, let's be fair. They're in a higher position. They're playing better rugby league. They've scored more points. They've looked better in attack than Catalan this season. And the defence has been very solid as well. Tackle efficiency goes the way of Wakey. Nothing in the conversions. And as you can see, errors and penalties. Well, the errors in the favour of Catalan Dragons and also more penalties from the Catalan Dragons as well. Stef, we'll start with you because you saw me in close quarters 2 weeks ago. You weren't surprised that they got the win against Huddersfield Giants. It was a hot day, sapping day. Catalan sometimes they don't travel well. I mean, sometimes they rack up on British soil and they just don't perform.
Yeah,
it's important for Joel Tompkins that for me. So the problem with Catalan is, and the same could be said for other teams that are down in the lower, and I'd include Warrington in this as well. There's no point in winning one and then losing the next two. You need back-to-back, and then you need to build and get some consistency. Can you see Catalan doing it in this game, mate?
No, I can't. No, I think more.
We've lost Stef.
No, not
He's down.
A little bit to do with Catalan, but more to.
More to do with Wakey, yeah.
Yeah, more to do with Wakefield, I think, in terms of how impressed I've been with that Wakefield team and how they perform, specifically at home as well. They'll be looking for a really big performance this week. Obviously, losing to KR, was it the last time out? Yeah, so they'll be wanting to really push on for the playoffs now. And like you said, Catalan, disappointing. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as hot as it was in Perpignan. So that's not going to be a factor. They're just too inconsistent, Catalan, whereas Wakefield have been pretty much the same all season. Obviously, it turned a bit of a blowout in that game against KR, but only because they lost Truman, and that second half changed the game. Right up to half time, right up to half time, they were right in it with KR. So, yeah, a bit of a long-winded answer, but I fully expect Wakefield to be putting a bit of a score in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of great to see Tony Pennington going in, go the wheelbarrows. That's one for the quiz night. That one went down like a lead balloon. Not many people like that question last night, has to be said. But look, these are the absentees, Craig. These are the absentees. And again, Wakefield are still struggling in the middle unit, buoyed by the fact that Mike McMeekin returns, of course, but they're still missing some big units down the middle. Hamlin Yilly's back as well, so that's a bonus. So they've got a couple of big units back. Have Wakefield, Trinity. The problem for them in the halves, Jake Truman again, a player that just can't seem to stay fit for more than a week, which is just unbelievable. But of course, that will mean that Max Jowett will go back into the half backs and Josh Rourke will probably come fill in at full back, which again is not a bad replacement for them. As for the Dragons, still no Romano. Remy Smith still out, which I think is a massive blow. That's a huge blow for him. Garcia still, of course, got his ban. No Sims, Whitehead, Theo Fage still out. So Rouge, who played well last week, it has to be said, he'll deputise once again, and no Machu Laguerre. Your thoughts, Craig? Can Catalan go back to back, or do you think Wakey are just too good?
I think Wakey is just too good. I think the Catalan's going to get a lot of confidence from last week. But as I said, the weather's and conditions isn't going to be the same. Mike McMeekin's back, and he is such a powerful unit for Wakey. Because I remember watching the Wakey KR game, and there was a few times when Wakey were near KR's line. I thought if they'd had McMeekin, they probably could have gone over, or had at least done a bit more. I think that Catalans, with Sam Tompkins back, he is a bit more of a leader on the pitch, and they have seen a bit of a difference since he has come back. But I just think that Wakey's going to be just too much for him. It's a bit more of a smaller pitch, I believe, as well than it is at Catalan. So I think it's going to be more in Wakey's favour, and I just see Wakey getting past them on here. And I think the Wakey hoodoo with Catalan's going to get broken this weekend.
What are you going?
I think I'm going down to 17 Wakey.
1917. Greg went as big as 18 plus for Wakey, which I thought was huge. He could be right. Of course, he's doing better than me in the predictions this year, but 18 plus seemed a bit big for me. I think the big bonus here, gents, is that Mike McMeekin's back. Let's hope that McMeekin is back and he's fit. And for me, that's one of the most intriguing elements of this battle is the middle unit. And that's where I've gone. And this is the difference that Mike McMeekin brings. I think of all of these forwards, Wakey have got the advantage in the front line. Fire Tilly has been exceptional all season. Incredible. Mike McMeekin equally has been incredible. When you actually look across this, busts, go in the favour of the Catalan boys. Tries 10 to 5. I mean, 10 for middle units. I mean, 7 of them have come from Fire Tilly as well. You look at the tackles, and that's the impressive thing about McMeekin and Fire Tilly. It's not only the fact that their go forward is so good because they're out running Pangai Junior and Busquets, but it's look at the difference in the tackles as well. I mean, the engine on both Fire Tilly and McMeekin is huge, and I think perhaps, of course, Mike. Forgive me, Mike wasn't playing against you, was he, Craig? When you went to Wakey,
no, it wasn't. No,
but I think they sorely missed him against KR. It bit him a little bit there without doubt, because if you remember, there was another couple of players. Kozo went out as well, didn't he? So they were really in those middle unit areas. They were under it a bit against KR, because remember, they had to put Pitts in the front row. The fact that McMeekin is back, I think, is a massive bonus, a huge bonus. Arguably, McMeekin is in dream team form. He's up there. He's in the conversation. Stef, is this where it could? I mean, we always say the forwards win a game, the backs decide by how much. Do you think that what you're seeing on the screen there in terms of these two starting prop forward duos, do you think it's advantage Wakefield, and this perhaps will lay the platform for them to go and get the job done?
I think it does, yeah. And I think the bit that's not on screen there is minutes they're able to do as well. Fatilli and McMeekin can do bigger minutes than Busquets and Pangai Junior. So what that does is it enables other players to take a rest that maybe need to. They can use their interchanges a bit more spread out. And when Darryl wants to use them as well, rather than the player just being completely shattered. So I think that's where Wakefield will use it to their advantage. And I think the big thing is that Fatilli takes a lot of the pressure off McMeekin. So McMeekin can then be a bit more of a 13 rather than a prop. So it's I really like Wakefield's pack. I think they've got a really solid pack, and obviously Pitts as well, who we've not talked about. He's massive for them as well. Another one that takes a lot of pressure off these two. So yeah, for me, this is where the game's won for Wakefield, and then that'll allow your players like your Jowetts to really shine in the backs.
Tom Johnstone, 4 points required for 500 in Super League for Tom Johnstone. Again, you think how long Tom Johnstone's been around, just puts in, and a winger, just puts into perspective what Mikey Lewis did last weekend. It's just ridiculous. Julian Busquets will make his 300th Catalan appearance. And if Tommy Makeson goes over a try, he draws level with Jermaine McGilvery in 6th place of the Super League try-scoring chart. So they have a few records that are going there. Right, okay, before we get on to, arguably for me, the tie of the round, we've got a few people watching us live. Actually, this show is doing better and better every week as well. More and more people catching on to the Captain's Run. This is interesting. We could do that sketch. Remember that sketch with John Cleese and Ronnie Barker, Ronnie Corbett? Could do that. I'm taller than him. And we could do that there. We're perfect. Absolutely lovely. Anyway, we digress. Guys, you guys that are watching, do me a favour. This is available on YouTube right now. What I'd love you to do is I'd love you to copy the link, and I'd love you to share the Captain's Run on your personal feeds. Share it. You have been watching the Captain's Run, Super League Raw, every Thursday. Brilliant build-up. Sell it to the hill. Come on, members. We need your help. I need you to go on your own pages. You'll have friends that are rugby league enthusiasts, and they're not watching this alongside you tonight. So my plea to all you guys that are watching, and you people who are watching, hopefully you're enjoying the show. Get onto social media, share it, and tell people what we're all about. You know, this for me is the best build-up show in rugby league. bar none. You know, we get into detail. We don't just go for the star players. We've seen it today. We've talked about Harvey Barron. We've talked about Owen Dagnall. You know, we're talking about real good quality contests. We spread the love here at Super League Raw. We give every one of our gladiators the respect and also the airtime that they deserve. But we need your help to grow our community. So please, 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 once the show's over, copy the link, go over to Facebook, go over to Twitter, go over to all your handles and just share it and tell people why they should watch it. I know Craig will do that. He always bangs the drum. I just need the rest of you to do it as well. So please, please do that. Right, let's now get into the final game of the weekend. Beautiful, beautiful standalone fixture on Sunday. Can't get any better than this. Absolutely marvellous. Really looking, you know, we're going to have so much excitement over the next couple of days, and then we've got this to look forward to on Sunday. Beautiful stuff. This is Rugby League. This is what it's all about. The Rhinos, unsurprisingly, have a better record in Super League than Hull KR, but look at that underneath. 5-0 for the Robins, the last 5 meetings. They're catching, they're on the way back. And I think, you know what, guys, we talk about the rise of Hull KR. That stat probably highlights that more than anything, that, you know, against a team of the pedigree and standard of Leeds, and I know that they've not been the Leeds Rhinos of old, but for them to have beaten Leeds in the last 5 meetings, that says a lot about where KR are at in it, Craig.
Oh, 100%. This KR team is a team that can absolutely demolish, and the top of the Super League deserve to be there. This is a team that is ripping other opponents to absolute pieces. They're just the phenomenal in attack, the phenomenal in defence. They don't let up. In essence, at this moment in time, you could say there was an NRL team. Just how they're playing, they are absolutely brilliant. And again, this last 5 meetings with KR and Leeds is showing that. And Leeds, no matter what, they're never a pushover. And not many teams can go to Headingley and get a win. KR, obviously, they've been and done that. So again, this is a KR that everybody needs to be stood up and paying attention to. But this should be an absolute belting game, because I think if Leeds should be buoyed by the last appearance, they only lost it in the last few minutes, to really want to turn up for this one.
I have to disagree with you, Craig. You know, the Robins can't be an NRL team because Dean Hadley can't play in big games. Good evening, Mr. Wayne. Hope you're well. Anyway, we move on. Hull KR 538 points. It's a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. And again, for people who don't watch us and you've only just discovered the Captain's Run and you've never watched Super League Raw Weekly live at 8 p.m. every Tuesday, where have you been? But we did say on Weekly 96 tries this season. KR won. To put that into context, that is more tries than the teams that finished 6th or below in the entire campaign scored in 2024. Let that sink in. They've scored more tries in 25 than teams that finished 6th or below in the 2024 season scored all year. Wow. That's how good it is. It's incredible. And then, as Stef always points out, the defence is equally as good, if not better. Quite incredible. But, you know, let's be fair, 211 after 16 rounds, that's great defence from Leeds Rhinos. It's great defence.
It's on any other season, Dave. That's only 13 points on average. And bearing in mind, Leigh put 30 points against them last game, so it was even better than that before that game. So for if you've got a defence that's only conceding on average 12 points a game, normally you're in the first or second position in the league. It's only because KR's defence has been so wonderful that they're like 7.9 or whatever it is now, which is just crazy.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know, conversion 75.2, 70, both over the 70 mark, but that in the favour of KR as well. Not really much in it in errors and pens, not really much at all. And like I say, you know, defensively, Leeds have got to be better than last week. And I think that's the key element here. They have to be better than last week in defence, because if they defend like they did against Leigh, KR are going to have another field day, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think, and also they defended against St Helens as well. You know, they weren't brilliant in that game defensively. So they've had 2 games now where they've not been to those standards that they've set themselves. But Leeds are a very, very good defensive side, and I see those last couple of performances defensively as a bit of a blip for them. They'll be very motivated for this game, and they'll want to put in a really good performance against KR. So, and when you look at the likes of O'Connor, he's the guy who leads them defensively. So I'll be expecting another massive game from Jared in this one.
Charles Whitehouse asking a question. I'll pose it to you, Craig. Good evening, Charles. Hope you're well. consider becoming a member of Super League Raw. Do you think that Hull KR are as good now as Saints were 5 years ago when they started their run?
No, I think Hull are actually better than Saints were back then. They've had the best stats this season, I think, possible. And I just think this KR team is I think Stef called it once in a generation. This is an absolute amazing team that's playing at the minute, and probably I'd say that they are better than what St Helens were.
Yeah, I mean, Stef, people will point to the colours that Craig wears, not on a Friday night, on a Saturday. I'm only joking, mate. Okay. But Stef, as a Leigh fan, I don't think you've got much love for Saints, but probably a little bit more than perhaps Craig has got. Would you agree with his sentiments? Do you think KR are now at this moment in time, because yet to win a grand final, and they've got to get that done before we could even consider piling on, superlatives of one of the greatest sides in Super League. Greatest sides in Super League win grand finals, and they've got to do that yet. But the question is, are they as good now as before Saints started picking up that 4 in a row? What's your thoughts?
No. It's I think it's for me. It's such a big thing to put on that, because, like you say, winning a Challenge Cup is one thing. Winning a league title, or it's a league's leaders shield even, and a grand final. Challenge Cup's a lot easier to win, and it's not discrediting that at all. It was massive for my club, Leigh, when we won it. If KR go on to win the grand final this year, then yes, I would say on paper they are probably, they're a wonderful, wonderful side, and comparable to that Saints team if we're going right at the beginning of the Saints run that they went on. But yeah, it's too big a call to make that. They've got, as Reggie would say, they've got the potential to be.
Yeah, and just so, because I can imagine the giggles at home, got to do that. Happy days. Right, look, what a game. What a game. This has got everything, absolutely everything going for it. Rhino. Imagine if Rhino pops up and scores the winning try for Leeds and submits KR to their first loss in this year's Super League. Don't get me wrong, KR fans will give him an incredible reception.
It's not the first loss; they've lost the
second loss.
Oh, sorry, the second loss. But yeah. Sorry, my apologies, Craig. My apologies.
Sorry,
they're second. I'm getting that giddy, mate. This seems a long time ago that. But no, genuinely, though, imagine if Ryan Hall was to go in. Talk about suddenly your beer going flat.
Craig could rip up his KR season ticket.
I keep saying I was an emotional support drinking monkey.
But you know what? We don't know. Dawn asked in the chat, we don't know the squads. They're going to get announced tomorrow at 12 o'clock. JWH expected perhaps to return. Martin went well on his first game back. We've got to say that. I thought he was good value. I think, Miller against Martin Morg, beautiful. 2 great fullbacks, the wingers, don't he? I was surprised. I have to say, I was surprised Riley Lum wasn't there last week. And there was no mention of an injury. That was a decision. Now, I don't know if there was an indiscretion or there was a reason off the field. I don't know. And again, I genuinely don't know. It just seemed very odd that Riley Lum, especially the form he's been in, missed out. I didn't get that last week.
Yeah, and Keenan Brand had a field day against him, didn't he? So, and I wouldn't put Keenan, because he would be going up against Davis. Is that right?
Keenan, who's this now? With Davis against Lum. So yeah, if he was to keep Edgell in, it would be Tom Davis at the minute. What form he's in?
That's what I mean. If Keenan Brand can do that to him, imagine what Tom Davis would do to him. So, not that's. It might have been a one-off for Edgell in that game. But yeah, very surprising, because I've been impressed with Lum. I think he's a real talent, and with Sivo being injured right at the start of the season, a bit like Keenan Brand, has been forced into it, hasn't he? So yeah, it'd be an interesting one who does go against Davis there.
Well, everybody's jumping in. The KR fans are taking umbrage of what I said about Rhino. Reece Martin, Dave, Reece Martin. It's not the same. The gravitas. This is all KR. This is all KR who are on an incredible winning streak. The Leeds are used to losing the odd game. All right, it'd upset them a bit if it was Martin that got the winning try. But think of this, folks. Just think of it. Ryan Hall winning try against his former team, KR. The great Hull KR of this season. Oh, right at the back pages. Incredible stuff. Unbelievable. Oh, dear God. You can't say anything these days, can you? But anyway, there you go. Outstanding. Of course, then, arguably the best prop forward, says the lot pod. Palacia going up against KR. That'll be interesting to see. And also, just Minchella. Minchella going up against, is it going to be Watkins? Is it going to be Cameron Smith? James, I tell you what, that's a battle, isn't it? Would that be on the right side? I think it would, wouldn't it? I'm trying to think. Yes, he does. Hadley, when he plays second row, plays on the left, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be McDonnell in the England squad going toe-to-toe with Hadley, who cannot play for England because he doesn't do big games. Good evening, Mr. Wayne. Hope you're well. Yes, unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff. Right, we could talk about them all, and this is probably the most boring that we've been this evening. But shoot me, we've got to be boring. Two genuine Man of Steel contenders going toe-to-toe. Can Connor prove Sean Wayne wrong is the question. I mean, look at these. I mean, again, Connor's stats are incredible. And you put him up against Mikey, frightening, really. Really, I mean, God, just look down those stats for a minute. So Connor at the moment, and rightly so, Mikey's top of the Super League trophy, Connor's top of Man of Steel and of the Albert Goldthorpe. Connor deserves to be in the top 5, deserves to be in and around the Man of Steel, absolutely. But I'm very comfortable that Mikey at the moment is the top of the Super League trophy list, especially when you look at this. As good as Connor is playing. And let's not forget, Mikey won the Man of Steel last year. For him to go again, I mean, that's Bevan French-esque. It's all well and good to have a good season. To then go and back it up with perhaps an even better one, which he's on track to do. 15 tries to Connor's 4. Connor holding his own.
Played 2 less games as well, Lewis.
Yeah, absolutely. Connor holding his own in terms of assists. Look at the busts. 40 busts difference. Attacking kicks and kicks in general, play more from Mikey, part of his game that arguably we've all said he looks as if he's worked hard on and he's improved. Both of them carried the ball 223 times, but look at the difference in meters gained. I mean, that's not Connor's game. It's not. Let's be fair to Connor on that. But like I say, when you actually look at these two, Jake Connor deserves to be in Man of Steel discussions.
Yes.
When you look at that, it's just like, how good is actually Mikey Lewis playing? And people might be getting bored, but we don't celebrate English players enough. You can have your view on Mikey Lewis, but from a rugby perspective, that Stef is just unbelievable.
Yeah, a bit like KR's attack and defence being scary. Those stats from Lewis are scary, and stats aren't everything. And we always say that it's a good backup to what you perceive.
What you're seeing, though, mate, and it's what we're seeing as well.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think with Mikey, it just backs up how good we all think he is, regardless of, like I say, your shirt colour or what you think of him. He's a phenomenal player, and it's great to see. And I just hope Mikey gets the nod for England. I really do. I think it's time. We need a change at England, and it's a great opportunity against the Aussies for us to do that. And Mikey, for me, he's going to be our future for the next 10 years in the England setup.
Couldn't agree with you more. But the thing is, Craig, and this is what I'm going to end on before I give the milestones that are coming up this weekend. If Connor was ever going to put the proverbials up to Sean Wayne, it will be going up against the current Man of Steel. For me, the favourite to be back-to-back Man of Steel. And unlike his Saints performance, which is the reason he's not in the squad, Connor has a man-of-the-match performance at Craven Park. I think, from a team talk perspective, Sean Wayne has done Willie Peters' job where Dean Hadley and Jake Connor's concerned this weekend. Go and show them against people that he has picked that you should have been in that squad. Done the job for him.
100%. And this really is now. I think for Connor now, he needs to really now put this match in, put this effort in, because now he can really show Sean Wayne that he's picked, he's left him out was just the wrong thing to do. I think, looking at Mikey's stats, I think a lot of that has to be helped by KR's forward pack to allow him the space and the quick play to do what he's doing, which is probably a bit more than what Leeds are at the minute. But yeah, I think Jake, he has got this opportunity now to really show himself on the big stage and say, look, I can do this against some of these teams. And again, like say for Hanley as well, to show, look, we are here for the big appearances, and you should be picking us really, looking at the England team for the Ashes.
Everyone who went Leeds, where did you go on this one, Craig?
I think I went Rovers by a lot, to be fair, because every time we think it's going to be close, Rovers have run away with it. So
sorry, everybody went Rovers. Sorry,
yeah.
Leeds. Yeah, everyone went Rovers. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean they are an incredible side. Right, let's do the great game. I mean, it doesn't need to be built up. Great game of rugby league. What a treat we're going to have on Sunday. The WhatsApp chat is going to be absolutely sensational in the members. I mean, I can imagine it might actually be our biggest attendance of non-KR fans and Leeds fans in the WhatsApp, because I think everybody on Sunday will be watching this one and be wanting to get involved. The good news for Leeds is that their last win against KR did actually come at Craven Park. It was back in August 2022, a 28-20 win. Right, again, Mickey Mack could be back. He's probably edging closer to his comeback now, Mickey Mack. If he does come back, it'll be his 400th in his career for Mickey Mack. Dean Hadley needs one appearance to reach 250 in his career, but he's never turned up in the big games. Good evening, Mr. Wayne. Hope you're well. Tom Davies, who again, probably unfortunate, we said that on Weekly, not to be in the squad. He needs a hat trick for 100 Super League tries. And James McDonald, the man that Dean Hadley will be up against, he needs just one appearance for 100 for his career, so he's going to make that. So some fantastic milestones there. Well done to each and every one of them. And thank you, as always, for your service to our wonderful game and providing us all with great entertainment. Right, it's now time for this.
Are you sick and tired of winning your bets every week? Want to contribute to the bookies' Christmas party? The bets to ignore when predicting the score. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Bet Stef.
Well, I don't know if everyone looked at last week's performance, but I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to do as bad as I did last week. But I thought I'll have a blooming good go at it this week. So I've gone a bit left field with some of these. You'll see the odds are quite high. So high winnings, but low percentage chance, I think, on these ones. So I've contradicted some of my predictions. I've gone to Huddersfield for an outright win, no handicap for this evening's game. At 2.3 to 1. I backed Leigh for an outright win against Wigan at 3.2. FC to beat Saints, outright win, 2.62. Wakefield minus 8.5. I'm hoping they're going to have enough attack to overcome that handicap. And then I've gone for Leeds plus 10. I'm hoping for a close game at Craven Park. So if you jumped on all those five, you're getting massive odds of 70 to 1. And likewise with the anytime try scorers, George Flanagan, I think with the cast defence, I think he should have a good chance of getting over for a try tonight. Good odds for him to getting over for a score. We all know he can score them. Josh Chandler coming into the squad for Leigh tomorrow. I think that's written for him to get over for a try and maybe prove a point. And my final one, Mark Sneed going up against his old side. He doesn't get many Mark Sneed, but I can just see, for some reason, I've got a funny feeling he might sneak over as well. Big odds for him, 4.33. So again, another big treble this week at 46 to 1. So if they do come in, then there's some good chance of winning some money.
Well done, mate. Superb, as always. Bit about Stef. Always good. Always good. Very, very well done indeed, Mr. Sale. Hopefully you do better than you did last week, which was absolutely dire.
I can't see the picks, to be fair, but you never know. You never know.
Well, there you go. We're just not a million miles away from the game this evening. We always like to take you as close up to it as we possibly can. Craig on debut on Captain's Run as a member. If you're not a member, would you like to be Craig? That's right. Team Talk and Six Again members get the opportunity of being invited onto the Captain's Run as well as the Final Whistle podcast. Craig, have you enjoyed your early evening with myself and Mr. Sale?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely loved it. Now any opportunity to come and chat Super League with some of the most knowledgeable and best people in rugby league.
Fantastic.
Where
Greg
are
couldn't be here. Yeah, Greg couldn't be here tonight. Happy days. Look, loads of good stuff to look forward to. So stick around. In the titles, as always, is the full suite of what you've got to look forward to from Super League Raw over the coming 5 days. Let Rugby League, as always, be the winner. We've got some absolute storming games coming up in round 17, and we will look forward to debating them all on the Final Whistle podcast this Sunday evening for your listening pleasure on the way to work. From Stef, from On Debut, Mr. Fourth, and myself, enjoy Castleford against Huddersfield. Not long now. Go the Cowbell Army. Bye for now.